All right, so let's go ahead and get started tonight because it is 8 o'clock. So I am super excited to get to introduce Amy. We're going to do a little bit more of a Q&A kind of style. So I've got a list of questions. She's already seen the questions. And so I'm going to try to frantically take notes. So if you do not have a notebook or something to write down with and a pen or something like that, definitely make sure you go grab that real quick while I'm doing some introductions of Amy and getting us started here. So thank you guys for being on. This is a huge crew of people, so I'm very excited to see all of these faces and you guys so excited to get started. So if you do not follow Amy, definitely go follow her on Instagram. Her Instagram name is Happy, Healthy, Humble. And a little bit about us. We met, I guess, kind of through like a push group that we were in together. I think it's kind of how we quote unquote met, which you'll learn in coaching. You meet people before you actually meet people. But then we got to meet at Summit this last year. I was like coming off stage and just kind of ran into her. So I think that's like the only time we've actually met in person, but that's okay. We'll meet again for sure. So Amy is a top 20 elite team, which I'm sure just hearing that still seems like so like crazy and bizarre to you. In the entire Beachbody company in only her second year as a coach, which is nuts, crazy to think about how that is even possible, but she was definitely able to do it this past year. So one thing that I absolutely love about Amy, well, several things, but she definitely like shares her true self. I feel like if you follow her on Instagram, and I know a lot of you girls do go to her as inspiration as a former teacher, but in a lot of different reasons, but she has a huge heart for what we get to do, but she also like brings this like super silly side also. I'm getting some background noise. So if you're not on mute, go ahead and go on mute, because I'm hearing some background noises there. She is like definitely super consistent in her day-to-day activities, and that's probably a huge asset to her business. Like she shows up every single day. Like you can always count on her being there, showing up either in her workouts or in her day-to-day of what's going on. I've also realized that she is probably the most organized person that I've ever heard do a call, because there were these calls that she would lead about how she organizes her team. And I was just like, oh, how do you keep track of all of that? And it just blew my mind. But there's a lot of things that I learned from her in this past year that I've implemented in our team. So that's an awesome asset of being able to work with other coaches and learning from them and not using them as competition, but using them as collaboration is huge for sure. So she's grown this huge group of women who just love what they get to do and they're excited about it. And that is totally cool. So Amy, do you have anything to say before we get started, or I'll kind of jump into our questions then?
Oh my goodness, you're making a girl blush over here. My goodness. I think just getting started, I'd love to get to know my audience a little bit. So show of hands, how many are currently teaching? All right, I love it. And how many are mamas? How about for mamas? Yes, I love it. Awesome. Any from the Midwest? Any attend Minnesota Super Saturday? Yay! Okay, cool. Awesome, awesome. I'm very, very honored and excited to share my heart with you today. I actually didn't take any notes because I really just wanted this call to be like heart to heart. So I didn't want it to be like super formal. Instead, I just wanted to share exactly what would come to my brain when you ask the question, and just give you like a really genuine and raw answer. So if you need any clarification or if I totally missed the question, please let me know in the chat. I'd be happy to answer it again.
For sure. And definitely write down questions if you have any. And if we zoom through these and we have some time at the end, we can definitely ask them. So Amy, one big question, because I mean, pretty much our whole team are full-time workers. Mm-hmm. And so how were you able to make time for coaching while you were still a full-time teacher?
Yeah, so a little bit of my background story for those of you who don't really know how I got started. I was, first of all, getting married. So I joined the same month that I got married in and basically started my first challenge group when we got back from our honeymoon. So I kind of needed like the next thing to look forward to, I guess you could say, since, you know, the wedding was a big, big thing. And then kind of the after the wedding sulking sneaks in, but not really, because that's when the fun part begins. But anyway, that's kind of how I got into coaching. And basically at that time, I had been teaching kindergarten for 5 years at that point. My husband and I just bought a fixer-upper home that needed to be completely renovated top to bottom. And we got a new puppy named Moose. And if you follow me on Instagram just for Moose, that's okay. Half of my followers only do that for Moose. And so anybody who's a fur mama, you know a puppy requires a lot of attention. And then I also own my own photography business. So coming off of the summer, you know, I took on about 8 to 11 weddings, and the fall was a very busy time for Christmas cards and things like that. So I had a lot on my plate. When I took on coaching, it took my coach 3 times to get me to actually sign up before I committed. So just another little plug, like, don't give up on your dream girl, because she literally said that. She's like, you were my dream girl and I wasn't going to give up on you, even though you told me no 2 times prior to actually signing up. I just wasn't ready at that time. I had been going through a bunch of health issues and whatnot. So, and I was super busy, and I was like, heck no, I can't take on one more thing. But it was that 3rd time when I was feeling frustrated with my gym routine where I finally was like, okay, this is something that I might need, especially after the wedding when I'm no longer motivated by a white dress. So anyway, when I took on coaching, I had no idea that the possibility that it could bring to me and my family. I asked my husband to give me 3 months to just kind of see if this was something I truly wanted to pursue, just as a hobby. I initially thought, okay, the discount's really cool, but if I could get my Shakeology paid for, especially after what Shakeology had been doing for my gut at the time, I battle with IBS daily and was going through a lot of leaky gut issues. So I asked him to just kind of hang in there. He was not my first coach. He was not my second coach. He wasn't even my third coach, because he truly was very skeptical. And so I had to be very careful about how I went about working the business, because as a newlywed, you're trying to kind of get into that routine and that role of being a wife, taking care of a house. We were constantly on the go, picking up supplies to completely flip the house, things like that. So what completely changed the game, and I'm sure you guys know this, but the question is, are you truly implementing it to the fullest of its potential, are Miracle Mornings. And so hopefully you've read the book or have heard of the book, Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. I know Beachbody has featured him many times because it really is that brilliant. I commuted 45 minutes to work. And so I had to leave the house by 6:05 a.m. And so what that meant is my husband and I made a pact to get up at 4 a.m. Monday through Friday. No, we weren't perfect, but we did our best, because we knew that by the time we both got home around, 5:45 p.m., there was just no more fuel in our tanks. And so for us to truly live this healthy lifestyle that I desired to live, I needed his support to get up with me. And so we really took on that task together. So we would get up, get our workout on, and he would jump in the shower right away, because he actually has to leave at 5:45 to get to work. He works in the city and works early hours. It's crazy. So he could beat rush hour at home. I don't know why I'm telling you that, but I felt like it was important, so make sure to write that down. No, just kidding. So anyway, our day started at 4 a.m. and I was never a morning person, but after hearing Hal's words and reading Hal's words, I read the book while listening to it, because that's how my brain soaks up everything the best, is by hearing and seeing. And I truly tried to really implement. No, I still do not meditate the best I can, and no, visualizing comes far and few between, but getting up and like putting my phone at the other side of the room to start my day, chugging a glass of water, brushing my teeth, that was how I got started. And I truly feel like a lot of my audience was inspired by that when I first started off as coaching, because I remember people would reach out to me and ask me how, why, and that sparked a lot of great conversations. So if that's not motivation to get up on top of wanting to be in your best shape and physical form, then, I don't know what is. But anyway, we would get our workout and he would jump in the shower. I would make the coffee. And while he was in the shower and I was cooling off, that's when I would jump on my computer and I would check in with all my challenge groups. I would check in with my coaching groups and the challenge groups and any other extra groups I was running for my coaches or my challengers. And then if I had extra time, that is also the time that I would check in with my emails and my Facebook messages. And if I didn't have time, then I would make sure to make time later. And then on my 45-minute commute, Audible was the best invention of this time, because that's where I would soak up all the positive words and get that really good quality time with my thoughts to get my brain ready for the kiddos. I worked in a really toxic environment at my school, a lot of negativity, a lot of gossip. So I would get anxious to go to work. And so listening to that PD on the drive was a huge help. Audible is definitely worth the investment, but if you're not quite there yet, I loved listening to Chalene Johnson. I saw Shanti now has a podcast. There's a lot of other really great ones out there. And of course, catching up on the Beachbody National Wake Up Calls. That was my Monday jam. So that was, and when I was at school, my kids were my priority because I took my job very seriously as a teacher. I loved teaching my kiddos. And then during lunch or at my prep, I would make sure to post again and make sure I was present in social media. If I had extra time and I was ready to go for my afternoon lessons, then I would log into my email account and message back some people or do some reach outs. And then after work, that's, a time that I would also utilize if, I had some extra minutes. I would take little power pockets. So I never was able to utilize a power hour during my teaching job. It was the power pockets, and I got really good at using the 15 minutes that I was given in my day to the fullest of its potential. I used to be that type of person where I would have to sit down and my notebook would be here and my pens would all be in rainbow order and I would have my cup of coffee and my candle was lit, my relaxation music was playing, and then I could finally be productive. Well, I had to get that out of the window, because if I wanted to be successful in my day with the 24 hours that I was given, I had to use the 24 hours I was given. And so then again, 45 minutes home, I would usually call my mom, call my friends. That would be like my social time. And then we would get home, and it was really important to my husband. His love language is quality time. And so I couldn't constantly be on my phone or my computer. And yes, it took lots of practice, and I was not perfect by any means. But being intentional about that time, we would go on moose walks. We would cook dinner together, and then we would watch Wheel of Fortune together. That was kind of our thing. And then after that, I would ask for an hour of time to work after work, because that was important to me to grow my business. And quite frankly, I looked forward to that hour every single day. Like, that hour built me up because I loved coaching so much. It brought me so much joy. And on Monday nights are our team call nights. So that was a longer night. And so he knew that, my commitment was to my team on Monday nights, but I would be committed to him the rest of the week. And again, remember, he wasn't very supportive. So I had to be very careful about my time and making sure I was honoring his time as well. On the weekends, we have lots of different hobbies. And so one of his is hunting, and go do that, because that gives me 4 hours to work on my business. He also loves fishing. I would like to go fishing sometimes, but not when it's -degree temps. So it's like, go do your thing. I'm going to work on coaching. Sundays, I tried to really unplug, but some days I didn't, because there's stuff that needed to get done. So again, it was just very much of I tried to be really intentional about it, but it wasn't perfect by any means. But it definitely starts with that miracle morning and getting your workout done and, honoring that as your number one priority.
Yeah, I love that. I think I could really relate when you said getting that hour to work at night was like energy for you. Like, I remember teaching in the afternoon, maybe dragging on, and I just being like, okay, I got 2 more hours, then I get to go home and work a little bit. And I think that if you it's going to be hard to grow this business if you don't have that excitement, and not every day. I'm sure you didn't have it every single day, but for the most part, it's like man, like that's something you look forward to because you just get to like pour your heart into other people, and it's cool for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so I think you kind of already answered this, your daily non-negotiables that have helped you build this business to become a little more successful, and the same kind of token of what are the behind the scenes of what you do to make your business successful. So obviously that's a little bit different now than when you were back then, but what are kind of those like nitty-gritty non-negotiables that you do every single day?
Yeah, absolutely. And Megan, I'm sure you can attest to this too, but all the nitty gritty work that you're doing right now, especially if you're a newer coach or you're just trying to get your business, the momentum in your business going, all of that hard work that you're putting forth every single day is going to pay off. I promise you, because I don't need to reach out anymore. And that has been such an exciting twist in the journey, because I remember, I didn't reach out for the first month because I was able to use some of my warm markets still. And then when Jamie finally was like, my coach, Jamie Innes, she said, you're going to have to start reaching out. And I was like, no, I don't want to. And she was like, okay, well, that's the only way you're going to grow. And so finally I would, instead of looking at it as reaching out or recruiting, I always just considered it inviting. And so my non-negotiable was 10 people every single day. And that's what I would try to accomplish during my lunch period. And what I did is I just created a notebook page, and Monday was purple. And I would write those 10 Instagram handles in purple, and or Facebook names or people I knew in purple. And then on Tuesday, the color would be orange. And then by Wednesday, I would go back to my purples and reach out or see if they've seen it or if they answered or whatever. And that's kind of the system that I used at the beginning because it worked for my brain. And I love colored pens. I mean, which teacher doesn't? But non-negotiable, obviously the 4 vital behaviors. Like I said, I got 45 minutes of PD every day. I believe, and I don't know if, a ton of you on here are faith-based, but faith is a huge tool for me. And so I believe the power of having personal development and professional development. And that should all be interlinked into your PD, but be 2 separate categories. So what I mean by that is my personal development would be like present over perfect or uninvited, or what were some of my other 4 gifts of anxiety. Those are my personal developments. Professional developments, I would look at, the compound effect, daring greatly, the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, the Slight Edge, books like that. And so I would make sure to get a really healthy balance, because if you're only working on your personal, I am that mean girl, or I am that girl, or mastering your mean girl, that's great. But if you're truly looking to build a business, you have to start thinking like the CEOs of successful companies. And that's who those books are based off of. So that's a really important note to just kind of keep in mind when you're getting that PD in every day. And then I think reaching out, and then my non-negotiable at the time when I was, a newbie coach, was posting 5 to 6 times a day, because I wanted my photo to pop up on people's news feeds throughout the day. Your dream coach could be scrolling at 3 o'clock on a Friday. So if you wait to do that perfect post that you think is going to just captivate your audience, and you post only on Mondays at 7 p.m., you're going to be missing out on your dream coach who scrolls at 3 o'clock on Friday. So just because your insights on Instagram might be higher for certain days or times doesn't mean that that's the only good time to post. And so just kind of keeping that mentality when you're doing your call to actions or your coaching breadcrumbs, is another really important thing. And now they say don't post 5 times a day. Sometimes I still do, just because I have a lot to say, and some are just random, and I can because my following has grown so big. But if you're really, really focusing on growing your following or getting those avatars to your page, just think about the different times, especially now that we are open to the UK. I mean, they're on a whole different time zone than you. And so you really want to make sure that you're not just posting at a certain time every single day. Mix it up and get creative. And that's what Instagram stories is really, really useful for too.
Okay, so next one, I think that's good. I feel like you just hit on like, the vital behaviors. Crazy how that
Pretty
works
much. I
out.
mean, yeah, it's crazy how that works, right?
There's so many secrets out there. Do the vitals. It's so
Right.
wild. Okay, next question. What is the number one advice or suggestion that you'd give to a new coach trying to grow or connect to followers?
hmm Yeah, that's the $1,000,000 question, isn't it? It truly is. I mean, people are just like, well, what do you do? And there's no secret answer. However, I truly feel like you can be intentional about how you're posting. So whenever I mentor new coaches, I always tell them, you need to think about what attracted you to me. What attracted you to want to reach out to me, and attracted you to want to be a coach? Those are the types of posts that you're going to want to keep in mind for later down the road. However, when you're just starting your journey, and I don't know how many newer coaches we have on this call, but when you are just starting out your journey, you have to consider the fact that nobody trusts you. They don't know your story. I'm serious. They don't know your story. They don't know if you're going to try this out for a month and then fizzle away. So why would they want to sign up with you? So what you need to do is you need to build that credibility. You need to build that trust by posting your journey along the road. So Instagram is like your highlight reel. And when I say highlight, that doesn't mean that it's all good. I'm just saying it's like the best of what you can give. And so when you're sharing your story that, yay, I became a Beachbody coach because this is my why and I'm excited, let me know, those types of things are great. But now you need to be posting intentionally to allow them to get a snapshot of your life. Who are you? I always say, who are you as a coach? Who are you as a person? And then you need to compare it to, well, who were you before Beachbody? Who were you before these accountability groups? Who were you before this community of like-minded, positive, uplifting people? Those types of posts, I think, speak volumes, especially to women who are past the college years, because once you graduate from college, you lose touch with those friends, and then you're placed into this workplace where you have to kind of fend for yourself. And unless you're going out to the bar every weekend, you really don't have that social life that you once had. So for me, when I post, I want to attract women who feel like they need a sense of community, who want to just, have fun and have friendships and hang out. And so that's what I keep in mind when I post. Now, as soon as you open the door to vulnerability, you are going to be able to connect to so many more women on a different level. Everybody has a story. Everybody has a past. Everybody has those dark moments who maybe have defined you or have played a big role in your life. Those are the things that you need to carefully prod at and think about how you can use those experiences and trials that you've gone through and help those people who are now watching you or following you, because that is what can truly connect you when you become vulnerable. Now, I'm not saying to post about it every single day. I try to keep it to once a month, where I bring up my IBS, or I bring up my anxiety and my depression, or my type A personality and how that's crippling at times. Those are the posts where people will message me and just say, oh my gosh, it's like you were talking right to me. And that's when the relationship can truly be formed. And so when you are thinking about your story, my number one tip, like I said, is just consider what attracted you to Megan, what attracted you to Beachbody. Well, that's what you want to put out there. But if a person truly doesn't know health and fitness, if they are struggling and they don't feel like they have any more hope to start their journey, what could you post to inspire them that you're going to be their girl, that you're going to get them through their trials, that you're going to help them along the way? And that's not just one post. That is, at least 20 posts throughout the month. You need to that's why we call them coaching breadcrumbs. you're just posting little by little, talking one time about how you have all these girls that you met online who are complete strangers and now you're best friends and you get to go on these trips and you're so excited. And maybe you got to pay for your grocery bill with your Beachbody check. I remember my first Beachbody check, and it covered our phone bill, and it was like the most exciting moment because I did that, by helping people. So I would just kind of talk about those little moments. You just have to really share your story and stop overthinking it. I also feel that most coaches don't post or don't share their story enough because they don't know what to say, or they're stuck, or they don't have that perfect picture. Who cares, right? If somebody is going to be scrolling and that one post that you didn't think was perfect, but it was one that really spoke to them and that changed their life to join your team, and now they lost 50 pounds and they're off their cholesterol medication because of you, like that post is so worth it. So sometimes, taking the 5-second rule by Mel Robbins and just count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, post, put your phone away and go downstairs, right? So you have to get over the hump. You have to put yourself out there. This is a business. You have to make sure that you are working it in the way that you're going to inspire as many people as possible. And so that's the only way to do that is by sharing the good, the bad, and the ugly. But anytime, so teaching really drained me. Like I said, I worked in a very toxic environment. I got really anxious. It flared up my IBS, which is an awful, deadly circle. But because of my PD, I would talk about going in with a positive mindset and, talk about the negative, but then turn it into a positive and talk about how coaching helped with that. I never read PD before coaching. And so that's something I really focused on. So just little things like that.
Yeah, I feel like you're kind of hitting on this. Another question was like social media tips to actively engage followers and attract new ones. Mm-hmm. And you say that like actively sharing on your social media, like genuinely telling your story, figuring out what your followers want, and if that's more moose, then you give them more moose. Like, would you say that has been the main reason that they have been engaged and attracting new ones, or what are some things that have been kind of attracting people to you?
My biggest spike in following or followers was my results. And so when they say get results, or when they say finish a program, I mean, it is a photo speaks 1,000 words. And so when I was able to share my before and after, and then when I successfully completed 4 rounds of the 21-day fix, and you can see my progression through each round, that was what really caught the eye of a lot of people. And so my following was just going up and up and up and up. And every single time I got a like, every single time I got a comment, I would just reach out to that person and say, this was kind of my go-to. I don't recommend scripts, but this was a good one because I was just, saying thank you. But I would say, thank you so much for liking my photo, or thank you so much for following me. It really encourages me to continue sharing my story in hopes to inspire as many people as I can to live a happier and healthier lifestyle. And when I would send that, then people would come back and say, oh my gosh, you're so welcome. You're so inspiring. I can't believe it. Was that only 21 days? And there you go. Your conversation has been started for you. So it takes that guesswork out. Now, I'm not saying everyone said that. I mean, I would get the crickets. I would get nothing back. I would engage in conversations and people would tell me no. But what I kept thinking was, okay, if I had 100 no's and 1 yes, what matters more? That 1 yes, right? So any time that I felt defeated by my reaching out and didn't feel like it was getting me anywhere, I knew that I just had to keep going. And again, what you do this month is going to pay off in 3 months. You're not going to see the instant gratification that we all want right now. You're just not. Just like for me now, where I am in my business, like the efforts that I'm putting forth in February right now, I know I'm going to see returned to me in 3 months. It's not, you can't wave the magic wand and make it happen. Like a business takes time. Sometimes I forget what your question was when I ramble like that, so I apologize.
You were talking about tips to actively engage followers and attract new ones.
Okay. Yeah. So when I was doing that, then I would kind of do the Chalene Johnson trick where you go and you follow the person that you're interested in. Well, first make sure that they're not already followed by, any of your coaches or not already a coach. So follow them and then scroll through and pick 3 photos to comment on and make them genuine comments or ask them questions. Hey, where'd you get that sweater? Super cute. And then once they kind of notice that your name has popped up in their notifications a few times, then you can message them and just say, oh my gosh, I've, not to be creepy, but I've loved, looking at your photos. You're so inspiring or whatever. And that's kind of how I would get my conversations rolling. So you definitely, want to create, you've heard it before, but create that relationship before diving into anything about challenge groups, free groups. And, if they object to the price, you guys, I make sure that my coaches hear this too, because it's so important. It's not because of you. When they're saying no to a challenge group, it's not because of you. And to be quite honest, I don't really think it's because of the price either. It could be. $160, I mean, people drop that on a pair of jeans. They drop, I used to pay $66 to go to the gym. So I really don't think that it could come down to the cost. What it comes down to is that working out and getting in shape takes work. And people don't have that work ethic. And so they've failed before many times and they don't want to fail again. So they're scared to take that plunge. So from that mentality, instead of taking the no's personally and being like, oh, so frustrating, nobody wants to join. Instead of feeling that way, instead sympathize for that person and just kind of give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they have joined a gym and they don't go and they're wasting that money. So now they just feel like they're going to fail again. So that's your opportunity to offer a free group. With February coming up, do a self-love group or a crockpot group. Or I did a group with teachers once, and it was one of my most successful, biggest groups, So really use that as the time to form a relationship. Give them a sneak peek into what your ability is as a coach. Show them that you check in on them, that you comment on their photos, that you're going to be there for them. And then at the end of your free group, hey girl, I have a boot camp where, we're all going to be doing the same program. It's going to be kind of like this in a private group. I would love for you to join. You want me to save you a spot? Those are just some of the ways that I would transfer those no's to, oh, maybe, and then hopefully to a yes.
I love that. So I feel like you kind of hit on this next question also when you were talking about your color code with your conversations, but it was, how do you have time for so many conversations, or kind of like, what are some organizational tips with keeping your conversations organized, I guess?
Yeah, absolutely. Back when I started, I was definitely a paper pencil girl, but I wish that I had utilized Streak on Google quicker or sooner, because Streak is one of the most brilliant tools, in my opinion, that anyone can use. And it's easy. Okay, backtrack. It's not easy, but if you take the time and really sit down for a good hour to learn about how to use and utilize Google Streak, it can save you hours down the road. And I guarantee it. When my upline, Chelsea Pearson, and I were sitting, and she goes, girl, you don't use Google Streak? I was like, no, I like my paper pencil. Like, I'm such a paper pencil girl. And she was like, Amy, you need to learn Streak. And so finally I was like, okay, if Chelsea Pearson is telling me to learn Streak, I need to learn Streak. So I YouTubed it. I watched like 3 or 4 videos, and it was life-changing. Because what you can do is so on Instagram, let's backtrack. On Instagram, anytime somebody would ask me a question, or ask for information or say they were interested, I would refer them to my email. So I get them out of Instagram and into my email. And that way, using Google Streak, I can then organize those conversations. So depending on what they're interested in. And that Google Streak also takes the guesswork out of your follow-ups, because you create these pipelines where, you know, if a person is interested in a challenge group, you put them in this little spot. And then once they respond and say, you know, I would like to sign up, you put them in the next spot. And then once they sign up, you put them in the next spot. And once they're added to your group, you put them in the next spot. So if they're stuck at that place where they asked for the information but never truly signed up, those are your people you go to follow up and say, hey girl, I have a couple spots left in my next group. You want me to save you a spot? Like, it's wonderful. So Google Streak. I also really love the High Achievers Playbook. This is kind of my fix for when I still need to write things down. This I use more now for my coaches, so business with my team, and keeping track of my girls on the team who are coaching. But I use Google Streak and Excel for my customers.
Awesome. I love how coachable you were when you said, like, when Chelsea Pearson tells you need to be doing something, I went and I figured it out. I Googled it. Oh my gosh, I use YouTube. I love the line of, it's not a lack of resources, but a lack of resourcefulness of, like, you literally learn how to do anything. If you want to learn how to do stories better, go Google it. Like, it's going to come up. So,
well, and the great thing too, you know, and down the road, I'll probably create my own training videos. But you guys, Melanie Neutral, she posts, 4 videos a week? And they're brilliant. She says it perfectly. And so anytime your coaches are struggling or you're struggling, like, you need to be subscribed to the top Beachbody coaches. They're the top for a reason. And so there's every question or every tip, or, you know, even if you're struggling in reach outs, like, YouTube it and watch 4 videos on it, take notes and try it out for a month and then readjust. So there's always learning opportunities, especially in the areas that you need to grow in.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so these next questions are kind of more like bigger picture, like where you made some decisions last spring. And the next one is, what's the best advice you could give someone that is looking to make coaching into a full-time job?
That is a great question. So that's kind of personal in areas too, because so for our big picture, just to kind of let you guys in, you know, we lived paycheck to paycheck. And when I say that, I mean it. Like, we got pretty much down to zero every month. And so adding on coaching expenses was not ideal. But once I worked my butt off and was able to bring in a little bit of a paycheck and cover our bags of Shakeology, and then it started to grow a little bit more, the potential of, you know, I didn't know I wanted to leave teaching. I didn't know that was even in the cards for me. But when my income started to grow, then the ideas of, oh my goodness, this could really be something. Like, I could actually be a stay-at-home mom that I've always dreamt of being. And so when you have a big enough why, which was being stay-at-home, that really dictates your actions. And so that made me drive even harder. I would go to bed with my husband, and then I couldn't sleep, so I'd get up and I'd work coaching. Like, I ate, breathed, I loved everything. Like, I was so in love with helping people and helping coaches help people and getting them started that was what I wanted to do. That was my new passion. That was my new goal. So with that being said, I really sat down. You have to look at, you know, financially where we were. And I know, Megan, you went through these same things because you did the exact same steps I did. But once coaching got to the potential where it would supplement my teaching income, then that was like, okay, I need to 10x my game. Because right now we're living off of teaching income and coaching income. So where are we going to give and where are we going to take and things like that. So we, you know, are doing the Dave Ramsey envelope system. Like, we're trying really hard with savings. And like I said, renovating a house is not cheap by any means either. So there were just a lot of moments where, okay, if I want to make this possible, I need to work. my butt off. And I am the only person who can do that for my growth. So that was a really big motivator. So once you make that decision that your why is going to be a full-time coach, then your butt should be lit on fire. I mean, you should be jumping out of bed at 4 a.m. You should be crushing your workout and staying 110% committed to your meal plan, because you need to bleed Beachbody, basically, because this life, it's like I still have to pinch myself when I wake up and I get to do this full time. So it truly is worth all of the effort that you're putting forth, because the return is so much greater. So that's, I guess.
No, I love it.
I don't know if it helps, but definitely just.
I couldn't agree more. I definitely remember some of the conversations we had, because I think I had posted about it and you were like, girl, what is going on? How did you make that decision? And lots of conversations between the two of us of like.
Yeah, I mean, you were my inspiration, because when my husband and I were looking at our budget and everything as far as savings went, like we had planned for me to work another 2 years in teaching because it just made sense. But the way that if you look at your income and the growth between each month, it was going up little by little. And it's like, if this was my income a year from now and I was still projecting these efforts on top of being full-time, so now I have 8 hours to devote to this job. Think of where your business can be. You know, you have to be smart about it, but at the same time, you have to take that leap of faith and you have to visualize yourself succeeding in that.
For sure. So the next question is kind of similar. At what point did you know you could step away from teaching?
It was when we were over what I was making teaching a month. And my progression and my income was steady, and it was steadily increasing every single month.
Yeah.
So once you get kind of into that groove and you can visualize it, and we definitely cut back. Like we cut back on a lot of stuff to take out the surprise expenses.
I love that for sure. Oh goodness. So this one might be a little lofty, so we might have to try to shorten it because we're getting close to 45 minutes. But how do you attract women who want to build a business? You know, another one of those questions that are kind of, plus what's the best way to help them build?
No, that's great. So, you know, I don't really target business builders, and I might be opposite than some of the other top coaches, but I try to just target everyone, because everyone can benefit from this lifestyle. Everyone can benefit from this community. Now, I feel like my success, so I was able to that's the wrong word. I was able to have 8 women this year advance to diamond. So I helped 8 people get to diamond this year. And so if that gives you an indication of just kind of my system, I feel like it's a pretty good system. So when I get people into my team, I have a introduction post, obviously, and a welcome email, and just getting them set up with their EFT and kind of letting them know about our team call. And then I tell them, once you read through this email, let me know. And once they do, then I send them my coach prep school. And that's on a form called, oh goodness.
Do you actually want to hang out with me?
Well, poop. I can't remember the name of it at the moment, but it's online. I used to run Facebook groups every month, but it's online now, and I will get that to you as soon as I remember it. But then I also put them into a new Coach Mentorship Facebook group. And in that group, I make sure that they know, you know, I'm there for them, that it's overwhelming. I always go live and I say, I remember my first time as a coach, you know, everything was very overwhelming. I was very type A. I wanted to be the best. And
that is just so annoying to you.
I think I've got everybody muted. You're good.
Perfect. And so I would just really put myself in their shoes, because everyone remembers when you sign up as a coach, it's the most overwhelming and exciting moment in a business. And I put my discount coaches in there too, because 2 of my diamond coaches now started as a discount coach. And again, I go in with the philosophy of people don't know. People don't know. They don't know what a discount coach, they don't know what a hobby coach, they don't know what a business builder is. I always let them know that if this group is too overwhelming or you don't enjoy having the notifications, like let me know, we'll remove you. But I still want you to get this information. So no, coach prep school is not required. However, they get their one-on-one with me once they complete the coach prep school, and they can do it at their own pace. So I just kind of have a lot of systems in place, and I really provide them those videos that I remember helping me out when I first started, just to get to know what we are, like what does Beachbody represent. We talk a lot about why are you a coach? A lot of them want to feel better, get healthier, and then we evolve that. And so I really want to create those relationships early on, and I've seen a lot of great success with it. And it's just, a business builder is not somebody that you sign up right out of the gate and they're like, yeah, I'm a business builder, and like, yeah, you are, and then they see instant success. I mean, no one sees instant success. There's this girl who has a YouTube video and she's like, I became diamond in 19 days. And it's like, that's really cool, but that's not the norm. And so what is a business builder? A business builder really is somebody who can overcome the trials and the triumphs and continue moving forward past the failures, and learning and growing and being resourceful when you get stuck. And there's been so many moments in my journey, and Megan, I'm sure you can relate, where I was like, why am I doing this? Why am I a coach? Like, I suck at this, right? Where you just have those limiting self-beliefs. But thank goodness for PD and for my team, because when you're feeling like that, you really just need to go to bed, wake up, and it's a brand new day, right? And I don't know about you guys, but when you feel like you're at the last of your source and you just keep getting the no's and the negatives and coach cancellations and nobody, everybody is just like raining on your parade, then something magical happens 2 days later. So it's like there's so many highs and lows to this business. So you just have to keep moving forward. And that's what describes a business builder in my heart, is when those people can truly listen to your advice and overcome those.
I love that. One of our coaches, Elena, always talks about if someone can get through the fall, the October, November, kind of December stage, they're like, then I know they're set. She's like, if they can get through that and they can go through those hurdles, because the no's have somewhat increased typically during that time, during the holidays, they seem to be a little higher than normal. She's like, if they can get through that, they can get through anything. I know they're set for life then. So I always find that's kind of a funny, but you also said that. Okay, so I've got a couple more. How do you switch up your game to keep yourself from getting stagnant or too routine?
Okay, so I love routine. I do. I love doing the same thing every day. It just is what makes me tick. But when I'm feeling, a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, aren't you going to go stir crazy in your house? Like, what are you going to do all day? And it's like, no, this is my jam. Like I said, this just pumps me up. But there are moments where I'm like, oh, okay, I need to get out of the house. And coffee shops are awesome. Coach meetups are wonderful. Have your girls over, even if they're just challengers. I have a girl, Shelly, who runs a monthly workout with her coaches and her challengers. And she'll have 12 people from Texas come over to her house, and they all work out together. And then they have brunch after. Do exciting things throughout the month. Plan exciting and fun things when you achieve a goal. So whoever's, even if it's just for 80-day obsession, go treat yourself to a manicure and do it virtually with your team. So some of our girls and I would say, okay, if we eat super clean this week, then we'll all go get manicures on this weekend, and we're all around the U.S. So no, we don't get to go together, but at least we get to go do it as a team. Zoom workouts in the morning with your girls is so much fun. We do it Monday through Friday. Sometimes we'll do a dress up one around the holidays. We did one like that, and around Thanksgiving we did something fun like that. So just thinking of different ways to make it fun and make it interesting. Offering incentives is always wonderful too, because it really pumps up your girls. It pumps me up because I love giving gifts, so that's always a great thing. And then obviously you have to go on the trips. Those trips are like the best part. So especially as a teacher and you only get 2 personal days a year, when you got, you get to finally go on some trips, it's a big deal. So I think just finding what works for you, but I love sticking to my routine. So.
All right, last question we have, and this is kind of a fun one for sure, but like, what is your 5 to 10 year plan? And then maybe the first question might be better of like, how do you sustain this career? And I think they mean like financially, how do you sustain this? But what's your plan for the future then?
Well, we obviously are in the works for baby Rada, which fingers crossed. It's so funny, and I don't know if anybody else can relate, but it's crazy how you prevent it your whole life, and then when you're finally ready, it's like, okay, I'm ready, and then it's like, nope, just kidding. So anyway, that is in the works, and basically we have, like I said, flipped this house to what it is now. And so we have one more room, which is the bathroom. And once that's flipped, the whole house will have been redone, which is crazy. So we're excited to just live in this little hole in the wall fixer-upper place until we run out of space, basically. But I think for me, my biggest passion in life is just to be a mom. And so that's what I'm hoping my next 5 to 10 years looks like. It's just lots of babies. But I also think that the sustainability of Beachbody coaching is so wonderful because in all seasons of your life, you're going to attract a new market. So at the beginning of mine, it was newlyweds or brides-to-be, and then it was teachers. And now I'm attracting, people who also would love to be a stay-at-home mom. And then once I'm pregnant, and Megan, I'm sure you open up a whole new market of moms-to-be and moms. And then, this business is only going to be growing. We just expanded to the UK, and that should give you so much faith in Beachbody that we're not going anywhere. So in 10 years, I plan to still be doing what I'm doing today, maybe with a little extra assistant help. But I think financially, we're just going to keep paying off our student loan debts and building our savings account, and just the financial blessings that we've already seen from Beachbody is crazy. So I'm excited to even think about what next year could bring. So
I love that. What a great way to wrap it up. I don't remember who asked that question, but that's a really fun one. I like that.
It is.
I love the vision. I try to teach these girls to dream big, because you kind of it's hard to dream big at the beginning, right? For sure. It's very difficult.
Yeah. Well, when Jamie told me, she's like, girl, you can quit teaching and do this full time. And I was like, oh, that's funny. You're cute. Because you get your 4-year degree, I have my master's degree. Like, we have lots of student loan debt, and it was crazy to think about me stepping away from the job that I had paid so much money to do, or gotten all the experience and hours that I put into getting my degrees. So yeah, it's definitely a leap of faith. And, we don't know what the future holds, but I'm excited to experience the ride.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, thank you so much for doing this. It means the world to me. You have no idea how many girls on here who are just tickled to death and just doing all these like silly gifts and so excited. So I know they appreciate it very much so. So
that's so sweet of you to say. Well, it was an honor, like I said, to host and answer your questions. And again, if you need any clarification or have a new question for me, just send me a message.
Sounds good. All right. Well, we will let you go and get to the rest of your evening. So I'll talk to you later. Thank you, Amy.
Sounds good. Bye, ladies.
See ya.